morning still here in my Grass Valley studio, and I've got a fresh 24 by 36 canvas, recently stretched, right out of the stretching garage next door. And I've sanded it off. I've sanded just a tiny, just to knock off the little Sharpie tooth things on there, but it still has tons of texture, which is one of the things I like when I'm moving paint around. So I'm going to try sketching and talking at the same time again. You know, that guy Bob Ross I mentioned, you know, he makes it look easy. And that's what the good guys do, is they make it look easy. You know, talking and painting or talking and drawing is not so easy to do. That's what I found out. So I'm going to give it a go. But first, I really feel that I must tell you that I'm Doug Truth, and this is everything I know. A weekly video blog about painting and about death and dogs. And there's one around here, but I don't know where she is at the moment. There's plenty of them on almost every painting I can see from here. Dog or Sign of Dog. I wrote a book several years ago called I Am a Dog. Kind of a children's, it looks like a children's book, but I don't think it is. About a dog who hooks up with an owl and a turtle, and they three of them work together to find the turtle's home, which is something of a small joke. All right, so what am I going to draw today? What am I going to paint today? I've been thinking. What have I been thinking? Well, yesterday I said something online. We don't know who we are, and I don't know why I said that right then, but. And sometimes I just start with a small, just a few lines. Reminds me of one of those evening variety shows they used to have when I was a kid, and I think it was Steve Allen was on. He was a hosting or he was a guest, and he was talking about jazz improvisation because he's a big fan. So he showed a picture that had some birds on telephone wires, and he said you just convert that to a scale, and all of a sudden those are notes, and you've got a theme, and you work around it, and that's jazz. But I don't think that's what I'm doing. So I don't know what I'm doing, but that's not it. I'm pretty sure. As you can see, I'm having some difficulty here, so I might have to revert to the talking mode, except with this canvas right here in front of me. It's a constant reminder of my shortcomings. So this looks a little bit like a piano. So sometimes we don't need to take the visual cue in a visual sense. We can, like a piano, and that takes us to another space that may not have a piano in it, but a piano is connected to it somehow in our minds.
I want my undulating undies with the marabou frills.
This happens every day. I woke up this morning with a real feeling, not of total dread. I wake up with that sometimes, and I wake up in the middle of the night with it sometimes, not just in the morning. But, and I'm sure none of you wake up with those feelings. That's not what anybody goes to the coffee shop in the morning and talks about. It's like, nobody says, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and I felt my whole life was so fucking hopeless and useless that I didn't know what to do. Somehow, I mean, I really don't have much data to go on, but I find it really hard to believe that I'm the only person that ever feels that way. Maybe so. Maybe everybody else is just mellow about what's going on in their lives and how they're going, and if they met their expectations that they had when they were young. I don't know about the young people today. I feel bad about the world that we've welcomed them into, what we've left. Not that I'm assigning blame, because that's not the point, but just that these kids may not have the same sense that I had as a kid of just infinite possibilities. Probably because I was an upper middle class white kid in the United States, you know, in the 60s. That's what you felt. So there's a dog barking. Yes, there, the dog is here. Dog, finally. Be right back. All right. Come in, Fred. Get down here. Get down here. You're a movie star now. So yeah, that you know what I'm talking about. That the contradiction between your dreams, the dreams that you had about your life as you saw it before you when you were a teenager, and sometimes those dreams may have been, not entirely conscious. It's maybe an assumption you made or something like that. And now how have things worked out? I say this not to be cruel because it really is. Maybe one of the things I'm all about is taboos. That I just don't like some of these taboos because I think they make us stupid. I think it's tribal mechanisms that have outlasted their usefulness. I'm assuming that they had one, and they make us all stupid. And we can't afford the stupidity now, either individually, or as a nation, a culture, or a species even. We can't afford the stupidity anymore. We have to figure things out in a way that we've never been able to or shown any aptitude for in the past as a group. And there's always plenty of smart people who know what's going on. But as an aggregate, the signs aren't good. So, I wake up on those days where I play like the soundtrack to Koyaanisqatsi to raise my spirits, to make me feel better about things. I don't know if you know that movie, but it's basically about... Well, Koyaanisqatsi is a Hopi word for life out of balance, and it's scene after scene of devastation and destruction. There's a lot of beauty in there, too, and there's a lot of compassion. It's not just a straight-on environmental destruction fest, but it's got a tremendous amount of compassion in the movie about humans as part of that whole scene. Part of our human arrogance and stupidity is to somehow conjure this sense of ourselves that we aren't connected, that nature's over there and we're here. It's not. It's as close as the 8 pounds of bacteria we all have in our guts, without which we'd be dead. We're symbiotic beings. We don't. Our egos, which is just a little firmware program just going around and around our heads in a totally non-adaptive way, tells us. Yeah, so waking up in the middle of the night. When I used to do performances, I would wake up in the middle of the night and think, why on earth are you doing this to yourself? Why did you do this? Why did you say yes? You could take it easy, but no. And then I've had those moments where it was just, maybe I shouldn't say this stuff, but I was just a tsunami of anguish about something. I have no idea what, but it was extremely hard to take. But there I was. It was all about failure. It was all about seeing some kind of ultimate judgment of my life and my efforts, and seeing them as an utter failure. It was really hard to take. It was as if imposed from outside. It didn't feel like it was self-generated. It didn't feel like my inner critic. It felt like that's what made it so powerful and so shocking. And it left me with this feeling for days. Just the wake of that feeling, the anguish was still there. It was just like this burnt landscape that I was walking through. And so I thought, well, what if it's true? I was trying to figure out ways in which it wasn't or how it couldn't be. But it's like, okay, what if it is true? What shall I do? And I thought, and this came with an enormous amount of belief. So I'll just keep doing the same thing I was doing because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I still think it's the right thing to do, so I'm just going to keep on doing what I did and try to be helpful. Even if my cause is toast, then I'll just keep doing what I was doing because I thought it was the right thing to do. Yeah, so, this drawing here is probably a sign of, I'm going to paint over this. Hush! I'm going to paint over this so there will be no record except what exists on this videotape. This may be one of those signs of early onset of dementia. You've got to keep your eye out for that, but it's kind of a self-defeating thing. It's like, you know, okay, well, if you're suffering from dementia, how do you keep an eye on it? So you could be, see, that's the funny thing, is each of us could be just like completely out of our minds, but the way the whole thing's built is we never notice. We just never notice. Yeah, and other people look at us and go, oh, that's so sad. So, one thing I still seem to be relatively convinced of, or sure of, or, you know, I find it useful as a working hypothesis, is that I'm Douglas Truth. And that's everything I know. I wish you well.